Welcome to London Marathon Training, episode 1, week 1 of training. I am so excited to kick off this series. I learned that I was running the London Marathon pretty soon upon moving to London. I honestly didn't think I would be able to run the London Marathon. A lot of my non-runner friends were like, oh my gosh, you have to run the London Marathon. You're moving there. Like, it would make so much sense. There are these 6 world major marathons that have become increasingly competitive to get entry to. New York City was one of them, and London is another one. So I kind of had it out of heart, out of mind to run the London Marathon upon knowing I was moving to London. I was just like, it seems way too complicated. I don't think it's gonna happen. On moving here, I reached out to a charity and asked if I could fundraise for them and get a bib for the race. The London Marathon, I'm fundraising for Fab Charity. They're an organization here in the UK that helps kids with disabilities. If you don't know, my twin brother Matthew has various disabilities. I'm running this for my brother and fundraising for such an important cause to me personally. I have a link in my bio to donate to this charity fundraiser if you feel so inclined. That being said, it is day 1 of training, so I'm about to head out on a run. It is gloomy and rainy here in London, and I did some morning pages journaling this morning. This Monday, January 6th, it feels like a fresh start for me. I think I was being really hard on myself the first few months moving here. I didn't have a lot figured out. I didn't really know what I was supposed to be doing with my content. I was doing my morning pages journaling, getting back in routine, which is something that I'm very excited about with marathon training. Obviously the running and nutrition and sleep and stuff, but just having a schedule. I feel like moving here was just challenging to sort of establish that discipline routine, especially being a freelancer, and I feel like I'm finally starting my London chapter right now, which might sound crazy, and I'm happy that I documented all the struggle of the first few months, but I think now I'm ready to hit the ground running with TikTok, YouTube, Substack, Instagram, all of the platforms. Like, I feel very empowered to take on this role of being a content creator. I don't know why I felt so unconfident the past few months and was thinking about like getting another job or like quitting this, and I think I just really have to believe in myself more than I did the first few months and kind of give myself grace for getting settled in a new country, because it was really fucking challenging, and in no way was I trying to glamorize it on social media being like, I'm moving to London, it's the best time ever. Well, it is the best time ever, and I love being with my boyfriend and living together and like creating this life. Certainly is very challenging to uproot your life and move to a new country. All the logistical and like bureaucratic elements to it are very exhausting and very difficult to figure out. So by no means is this just been like a very peaceful, easy transition. It has been full of crying and challenge and feeling really confused and feeling like I'm gonna have to go home or I'm fucking up in some major way. I'm going to trust myself, trust this process, trust my timing, and just trust the skills that I have to get me to where I want to be, you know, start to dream again, start to be creative again, start to feel really inspired by my own content. I think that's something I've struggled with, of like, am I proud of what I'm putting out? Would people even want to watch it? Because I know people want to watch it, but like, would I even want to watch it? I think is a big question I've been asking. I'll go pick up the book for this series later. I know what I'm looking for. Grief, health, politics, we'll see. I tried to go to the library, and honestly, the selection was really bad. Maybe it's just the location I went to. Back home now, I just made lunch. I did not find a book earlier, so I'm gonna eat this and then head back out to go to another bookstore. But I wanted to fill you in on what I'm eating for lunch. I feel like it's really hard with marathon training and just dieting and nutrition and all that shit you see on social media to actually eat and what could be healthy and what are good and easy meal ideas. So I'm gonna walk you through my lunch. A lot of women run into dangers of underfueling. Like, I don't think a lot of people do it intentionally. They just don't realize, like with cardio and volume for marathon training, how much more you need to eat. You kind of need to eat like you are a, I don't know, like a 13-year-old like football player or something like that. A lot of calories, a lot of protein, a lot of carbs, and just overall a really like balanced diet. Starting off strong, I have some kale here that I massaged with tahini, apple cider vinegar, a little bit of miso. You want to make sure you massage leafy greens with a fat source, so it can be olive oil, tahini, etc. But vitamins that are in kale, which are vitamins A, E, D, and K, are fat soluble, which means they need to attach to a fat source. So if you eat kale or spinach or anything without a fat source attached to it, your body's not going to be able to reap the nutrients from it. 2 eggs here that I just fried up. I have some cucumber salad here, spring onion, some sauerkraut for gut health, some lagama, chili sauce on top, and sesame seeds. Over here, I have some pork carnitas that my boyfriend made for dinner last night that we saved for extra. I have some rice underneath it as well. Protein from the carnitas, carbs from all the veggies and the rice, protein from the eggs as well. And the fat source is going to be the tahini and then a little bit of the sesame seeds, as well as the chili oil. So that's my lunch. Drinking a kombucha here as well. Gonna enjoy this. When we are on Brick Lane and I got my book for the video, which is going to be Crying in H Mart. I've heard a lot about this book. It talks a lot about grief, relationships, etc. I think it'll be a good way for me to ease into reading. I was thinking of getting like a nonfiction book, but I feel like that's gonna not turn me off to reading, but it's gonna be quite hard to get into reading almost. Does that make sense? So we'll start with this and then we'll see. But right now I'm out getting an anniversary gift for my boyfriend. Don't know what I'm gonna get him, but we're on the hunt right now. We will be celebrating our 1-year anniversary later this week. So excited. Tomorrow's my boyfriend and I's 1-year anniversary, and I'm feeling a lot of emotions right now. Most of all, I'm feeling like, what a crazy year. Lucky am I for that to have happened to me. How grateful am I for that to happen to me, that I was able to fall in love and really find my person. I was just reflecting on like what I was doing the previous year at this time, and you know, we went on our first date, and that's kind of when I started to catch the feels. I had a crush. I was obsessed with him, which I still am to this day. But watching me in those really early phases start to believe that love could happen to me was just really interesting to reflect upon. You know, I was so hopeless for some time, and I really thought like I was going to die alone, and I was really depressed by that fact after my dad died, because he had my mom by his side, he had a beautiful family, and I was really scared of the idea of dying alone and that I would never find my person and someone that actually met everything that I wanted to have, like all the standards I had, all the qualities that I wanted to meet. And I'm just really grateful to have had such a year of love, obviously coupled with grief at the same time. My boyfriend never met my dad, and that's something that I have to live with, and it's just hard for me to kind of grapple with. My boyfriend can never meet my dad. So grateful that my dad sent him to me. Like, I guess that's what I believe, at least, you know. I was really specific about what I was looking for when I started dating in 2024. When I met my boyfriend, I kept referring to this little almost manifestation list I made in Christmas of 2023, like a month before I met my boyfriend. The note was titled This or Nothing, and I still have it in my notes app to this day, and it was all the characteristics that I really wanted in a partner, and I wasn't willing to compromise. Cycle of just going on so many shitty dates with the loser of loserist men in New York City, because I didn't have any confidence and I didn't have any faith that it was going to happen to me, and I just wanted to be loved so badly that I would go out with any single guy, and I was trying to convince all these guys that I was lovable, and at the end of the day, not everyone's going to like you, and it really hurt me after like everything didn't work out with just like loser guys that I wouldn't want to be with. But I was like, fuck, why don't they like me, you know? In reality, I'm so grateful that everything that I went through didn't work out, and it led me to my boyfriend. So I'm gonna go get him a little anniversary gift now, because I wasn't able to find what I was looking for yesterday. So I'll take you along. I lifted this morning, day 2 of marathon training, and it's a beautiful sunny day in London, so let's go enjoy it together. January 9th, I have been writing about the LA wildfires all day. It's quite devastating and awful, and just seeing like climate denial come out of it as well is just so frustrating to see. And also, you know, a climate denier, Donald Trump, will be in office in a few days, which is wild as well. Boyfriend and my anniversary was last night, and he got me some flowers. I realized we do not have a vase in the apartment. I've been reading Crying in H Mart as well. I've been juggling a lot with marathon training, TikTok, YouTube, Substack, so it feels good to be occupied with a lot of work, but at the same time, I feel like I'm forgetting stuff, or I just need to create a better structure of how I get stuff done. So we're gonna go on a walk, write down some thoughts for my Substack on my walk, a little multitasking, get back, have the call, and then I'll do some reading in the book later today. Friday, January 10th, and I have my first long run of the London Marathon. Feeling a little bit anxious about it. I have run 10 miles, I think, since being in London. Just know that obviously the distance is gonna get more and more. I'm gonna listen to some podcasts on this run, which has been a new thing implementing. I spent this morning reading Crying in H Mart, triggered about my dad, thinking about my mom, and thinking about grief, which never leaves you. So let's go on this run, and I will talk to you guys later.
You should rob it.
Hi everyone, it is Monday, January 13th. It's the end of this video, and of course we're going to talk about the book that I read for this week called Crying in Mart. This is a book on grief. It's all about Michelle Zauner's relationship with her mother and the passing of her mother. My dad passed in September of 2023. It is January of 2025, so it hasn't quite been 2 years, a little bit over 1 year for me. After my dad passed, I immediately read A Year of Magical Thinking by Joan Didion, which I don't really think was a good thing for me to do. It was way too early, way too fresh for me to read a book about grief. I remember scanning through it and just being like, whatever, like, ugh, this is fucking annoying. I didn't really appreciate her writing. I couldn't really appreciate the story she was telling and the details. I didn't really feel moved by it. A lot of you guys commented like that's like the first book I should read on grief, but I didn't really enjoy it, and I think that was a me issue, reading it way too fucking soon. Based on where I am now, along the way of training for Big Sur, I did read a few books on grief, so go back to that series if you want any more recommendations. Some of them include Lost and Found, The Grieving Brain, but once again, more in that series. Crying in Mart is a very personal book on grief. It talks about Michelle's relationship with her mom. It's not trying to be some philosophical explaining of grief or here's what you're gonna feel and here's when it's gonna get better and here's what you can do to fix it. A lot of advice on grief can be kind of annoying for me personally, and I don't know if that relates with any of you guys, but when people kind of give advice of it gets better at year 2, or here's what you can do to like fix your brain and get rid of some of the memories that come up. I have found with grief that I just like hearing people's experiences, hearing from my friends, hearing from different authors. I don't want a sort of solution or a fix because I don't think that's realistic at all. Like, grief is not a problem to be fixed. You just miss a person that has passed away and you can't do anything about it. Like, regardless if I have love from my family and my boyfriend, I'm never gonna have it from my dad again. And it's very hard to explain that to people that haven't grieved before, like what you're kind of seeking, because of course you want community and of course you want help and you want people to really support you, but nothing is gonna bring back that person. So it's hard to feel rational when you're grieving because it just jumbles up your brain. So back to this book. She really touches on the intricacies of her relationship with her mom, how she loves her mom, but there's also guilt, and her mom was kind of rude to her and mean to her at certain points, but then when they get the diagnosis that her mom is ill, Michelle feels all these feelings of like guilt once again and shame and like, I want to repair this relationship, but also my mom is dying. So I think it's a really honest book about grief because all of us probably have, you know, kind of complicated relationships with everyone we love. I know at least when we got my dad's cancer diagnosis, I didn't really have enough time to process that, nor did he. It was very sudden. He passed after the first round of chemo, so we thought we had at least like 6 months and we got 20 days. So a lot of the stuff that I wanted to do with my dad and the conversations I wanted to have and that closure, I didn't really get it, you know? So I think my reflection after my dad passed was like, tell people you love them right now. You know, I think the book really talks about that. It talks about like these complicated feelings you might have about someone, but if they're gonna pass away, like you really need to kind of get through that and process those emotions and hold space with that person. So I can't go back and change anything about my dad. You know, I know he loved me and I loved him. There's just more conversations that I wish I would have had with him, and that kind of informs how I think about the rest of my life and the people that I do hold near and dear and how I want to spend time with them. So I think that's why grief certainly changes you. I really enjoyed this book. It definitely made me cry at certain points because I was thinking about not only my relationship with my late father, but also my mother, who is still living, and thinking about our relationship together and how to kind of live the rest of my life with purpose and meaning. And also it validated a lot of the feelings I had of like, I don't feel creative, I don't feel ambitious. And I think the biggest thing that I struggled with after grief was me versus me and being my own worst critic. I was really critical of myself, that I couldn't get up and just like do creative work, and I couldn't talk to camera, and I felt like I wasn't putting on good outfits, and there were so many things that I was very critical of. And from the outside was expecting me to act a certain way, but I was just being so tough on myself and expecting myself to be like who I was before my dad passed. And now I've learned that I'm forever going to be changed by that experience. I'm never going to be that person anymore. So it's not worth kind of living in the past and kind of striving to be that person, because I think in a lot of ways I'm better than I was before. I'm much more appreciative. I'm much more expressive of love. I used to hide a lot of my emotions and my feelings, and now I feel like I give that to the world in a new way. Obviously, I was much more naive and just kind of happy-go-lucky before my dad passed. I think that grieving allowed me to be much more grateful for life and live each day to the fullest, and I certainly miss my dad every single day, and this book really triggers a lot of memories. So obviously, you know, trigger warning if you do not want to kind of think about grief, would not recommend this book. But I really enjoyed it, and it's a Monday morning now, so I'm going to be on the hunt for my next book. As this video is being posted, I think TikTok is being banned in the United States. I don't really know. Here on YouTube, I'm assuming you probably follow me on Instagram and YouTube, so TikTok, I guess if it goes away, I don't know what's gonna happen to me because I do live in London, but like 50% of my followers are in the US. So I think that I can keep my account, but I'm gonna miss you guys that live in the US. You know, this was my first job after college. So much of my life has changed because of TikTok, you know, a Hoka sponsorship, running all these marathons, community with you guys and run clubs, being in New York and being able to document the past few years of my life, having this creative outlet. I met so many friends through this occupation, and it's really sad to see the app get banned. I hope that it's like a very temporary 1-week thing and it's reversed quickly, but who knows? I didn't really read into the Supreme Court ruling on it. Say, at least we're here on YouTube. If TikTok is banned, you'll probably see me investing more in this platform. Unfortunate news, but good for the YouTube fans. So thank you guys for watching this video. Please comment any books that I should read for this series. Talk to you guys for week 2 of the London Marathon.